The unexpected arrival. The asteroid belt around Kepler 442 was peaceful that morning. Mining station New Horizon floated silently between the rocky giants, its massive drilling arms extending into the mineral-rich stones. Captain Sarah Chen stood, in the observation deck, watching her crew work. The coffee in her hands was still warm, steam rising gently in the recycled air. Sarah had been running New Horizon for 3 years. She was tough, smart, and knew how to handle problems. Her crew trusted her completely. The station was home to 200 people from Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies. They were miners, engineers, scientists, and security officers who worked together like family. Dr. Marcus Webb joined her at the window. He was the chief science officer, a brilliant man with gray hair and kind eyes. "Beautiful view," he said, watching the distant stars twinkle through the asteroid field. "Hard to believe we're so far from home." Sarah nodded. "This is home now, Marcus. We've built something good here." She was right. New Horizon wasn't just a mining station. It was proof that humans could thrive anywhere in the galaxy. They had turned empty space into a thriving community. Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez burst through the door, his face serious. Jake was young but experienced, the head of station security. "Captain, we have a problem. Something big just appeared on our scanners." Sarah set down her coffee. "Show me." They rushed to the command center. The main screen lit up with sensor data. Engineer Amy Foster was already at her station, fingers flying over the controls. Amy was brilliant with machines, could fix anything that broke. "Captain, look at this," she said, pointing at the display. A massive shape appeared on the screen. It was huge, easily 10 times larger than their station. The vessel was dark gray, covered in strange markings. It looked like nothing they had ever seen before. Sharp edges jutted out from its hull like teeth. No lights, no signals, just floating, there in the black of space. "Where did it come from?" Sarah asked. Amy checked her readings. "It just appeared, Captain. No engine signature, no heat trail. 1 second it wasn't there, the next second it was." Dr. Webb studied the image carefully. "That's impossible. Ships don't just appear from nowhere. The energy required would be enormous." Jake pulled up tactical information. "It's not moving, not responding to our hails, just sitting there watching us." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. In all her years in space, she had never seen anything like this. "Try to contact them again." "All frequencies." The communications officer, a young woman named Lisa Park, nodded. "Unknown vessel, this is Mining Station New Horizon. Please identify yourself. You are in restricted space. Respond immediately." Silence. The ship hung in space like a dark omen. "Captain," Amy called out, worry in her voice. "It's doing something. Energy readings are spiking all across their hull." The alien ship began to glow. Soft blue light pulsed along its surface in patterns they couldn't understand. Then, without warning, every computer on New Horizon flickered. Lights dimmed, machines stuttered, and warning alarms began to sound. "They're scanning us," Dr. Webb said, amazement and fear mixing in his voice. "Some kind of advanced probe. They're learning everything about our technology, our defenses, our people." Sarah grabbed the nearest microphone. "All hands, this is the captain. We have an unknown vessel in our area. All non-essential personnel report to safety stations. This is not a drill." The scanning continued for 10 minutes. Every system on the station was touched by the alien probe. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The alien ship's glow faded and New Horizons systems returned to normal. "What did they want?" Jake asked. Amy was studying her readings. "They mapped everything, Captain. Our power grid, our weapons, our life support. They know exactly how we work now." Sarah's mind raced. This wasn't good. No peaceful contact begins with invasive scanning. "Jake, get our defenses ready. Amy, can you put up any kind of shield or barrier?" "I can try, Captain. Our mining shields aren't designed for combat, but I might be able to modify them." Dr. Webb was examining the scan data. "Captain, I'm seeing something interesting. They're probe left traces in our systems, like digital fingerprints. What kind of traces? Code fragments, alien programming. But there's something strange about it. It's almost like they were testing us, seeing how we respond to pressure. Before Sarah could respond, the alien ship moved. It didn't use engines or thrusters. It simply glided forward, silent as death. The massive vessel positioned itself directly above the mining station, blocking out the stars. "Captain," Lisa's voice was shaking. "I'm receiving a transmission. It's not audio or video. It's going directly into our computer systems." The main screen changed. Symbols appeared, shifting and flowing like living things. Then slowly they changed into words the humans could understand. "We are the HFY. You have been evaluated." The bridge fell silent. First contact. After centuries of searching, humans had finally met another intelligent species. But this wasn't how anyone had imagined it would happen. Sarah stepped forward. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of Mining Station New Horizon. We represent the human species. We come in peace." The response was immediate. "Peace is irrelevant. Your species shows promise. You will be tested further." Jake moved closer to his weapons console. "Captain, I don't like the sound of that." Amy was working frantically at her station. "Captain, I'm detecting massive power buildups across their ship. Whatever they're planning, it's big." Dr. Webb studied the alien message. "Captain, the way they're communicating suggests they've encountered other species before. This feels like a standard procedure for them." Sarah's mind worked quickly. These aliens were clearly more advanced than humans. They had technology that could appear from nowhere, scan entire stations, and translate languages instantly. But they were talking about tests, evaluations. That suggested they weren't here to destroy, at least not yet. "What kind of test?" she transmitted back. "Survival, adaptation, creativity. Your species claims to be intelligent. Prove it." The alien ship began to change. Sections of its hull opened, revealing massive weapons that glowed with the same blue energy. But instead of firing, something else happened. Smaller ships began emerging from the mother vessel. Dozens of them, each one the size of a fighter craft. Amy's readings went crazy. "Captain, those smaller ships are surrounding us. They're taking positions at every exit point." Jake was grim. "We're trapped." The alien message continued. "You have one solar rotation. Find a solution or face elimination. The test begins now." Sarah felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. 200 lives depended on her decisions. But as she looked around the bridge at her crew, she saw something that gave her hope. Amy was already working on modifications to their systems. Jake was planning defensive strategies. Dr. Webb was analyzing the alien technology. Lisa was trying to boost their communications. Humans didn't give up. They adapted, they improvised, they found ways to survive. That's what had brought them to the stars in the first place. "All right, people," Sarah said, her voice strong and clear. "We have 24 hours to figure this out. Amy, I want you to look at those scan traces, see if we can learn anything about their technology. Jake, prepare our defenses, but don't do anything aggressive yet. Marcus, study everything we know about them. Lisa, keep trying to establish better communication." As her crew jumped into action, Sarah looked out at the alien fleet surrounding them. They were vastly outnumbered and outgunned, but they had something the aliens might not expect. They had human ingenuity, determination, and the refusal to surrender. The test had begun, and Captain Sarah Chen intended to pass it. But as the hours ticked by, more alien ships began appearing in the distance. Dozens became hundreds. The HFY weren't just testing one small mining station. They were preparing for something much bigger. The human solution. 18 hours had passed since the HFY ultimatum. The bridge of New Horizon hummed with desperate activity. Captain Sarah Chen hadn't slept. None of them had. Time was running out, and the alien fleet surrounding them had grown to over 300 vessels. Dr. Webb looked exhausted but excited. "Captain, I think I've found something important. The scan traces they left in our systems, they're not just random code. They're like a key, a way to interface with their technology. Amy Foster looked up from her station where she had been working, non-stop. I can confirm that, Captain. I've been analyzing the energy patterns from their ships. There's a harmonic frequency that seems to control their systems. If we can match it, we could potentially disrupt their coordination, Sarah finished. That's brilliant, both of you. But we need more than disruption. We need a solution that shows them what humanity is really capable of. Jake Rodriguez had been monitoring the alien fleet movements. Captain, they're not just watching us anymore. They're taking positions around the entire asteroid belt. Whatever this test is really about, I think we're just the beginning. Sarah stared at the tactical display. The Kethvar ships formed perfect, geometric patterns around every major asteroid. It looked like they were preparing for a massive operation. They're not just testing us, she realized. They're getting ready to harvest the entire belt. Our test is probably just entertainment. Before they take everything, Lisa Park called out from the communication station. Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from the other mining stations in the belt. Echo Base, Titan Ridge, New Shanghai. They're all reporting the same thing. Alien ships, ultimatums, tests. The full scope of the situation hit Sarah like a physical blow. This wasn't about one station or one test. The Kethvar were systematically evaluating human operations throughout the asteroid belt. Thousands of lives hung in the balance. How much time do we have left? Sarah asked. Amy checked the chronometer. 6 hours, Captain. Sarah made a decision that would change everything. Amy, Jake, Marcus, I want you to listen carefully. We're not going to run and we're not going to hide. We're going to do what humans do best. We're going to turn this situation completely around. Dr. Webb leaned forward. What do you have in mind, Captain? The Kethvar want to see human creativity and adaptation. They think they're testing our survival instincts. But what if we show them something they've never seen before? What if instead of just surviving their test, we turn the entire scenario into our advantage? Amy's eyes lit up with understanding. You want to use the mining equipment. Not just use it, Sarah said with a smile. I want to weaponize the entire asteroid belt. Jake was skeptical. Captain, our mining lasers aren't designed for combat. Against their shields and armor, they'd be useless. Not as weapons, Sarah explained. As tools. Amy, how long would it take to modify our drilling systems to create a resonance field using the harmonic frequency you discovered? Amy's fingers flew over her calculations. If we coordinate with the other stations, link all our mining lasers together, and tune them to the exact frequency, maybe 4 hours. And what happens when we activate it? Dr. Webb asked. Sarah's plan was audacious. We turn every asteroid in this belt into a giant tuning fork. The resonance will amplify through the rock formations and create a field that their ships can't ignore. They'll either have to retreat or risk damage to their own systems. Jake was starting to see the possibilities. But that's not the real brilliance of it, is it, Captain? Exactly, Sarah said. The real genius is what we do with the resonance field once we have it. We're not trying to destroy their ships. We're going to communicate with them through the field itself. Show them that humans don't just survive challenges. We transform them into opportunities. The next 4 hours were the most intense work session in New Horizons history. Amy coordinated with engineers on 17 other mining stations scattered throughout the belt. Each station had to modify their drilling systems to exact specifications. The margin for error was 0. Dr. Webb worked with teams of scientists to calculate the precise resonance patterns needed. The asteroids themselves would become part of the communication network, their mineral compositions acting as amplifiers and modulators. Jake organized security teams across all stations to watch for Kethvar interference. Surprisingly, the aliens didn't try to stop the modifications. They seemed genuinely curious about what the humans were planning. Lisa managed communications between all the stations, keeping everyone coordinated despite the vast distances involved. Her calm voice became the lifeline that held the entire operation together. With 1 hour remaining, everything was ready. The modified mining lasers were positioned. The resonance calculations were complete. and every human in the asteroid belt was watching their screens with nervous excitement. "All stations, this is Captain Chen," Sarah broadcast. "Today we show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. Not just survival, not just adaptation, but transformation. On my mark, activate the resonance field." 17 mining stations fired their modified lasers simultaneously. The beams struck carefully selected asteroids throughout the belt. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, a harmonic vibration began to build. The effect was unlike anything ever seen in space. The asteroids began to resonate in perfect harmony, creating waves of energy that rippled through the vacuum. The Kethvar ships caught in the field found their systems responding to frequencies they had never encountered. But instead of using the field as a weapon, Sarah did something that stunned the aliens. She began to transmit through the resonance itself. Not words or images, but pure concepts, mathematical proofs, artistic expressions, scientific discoveries, and philosophical ideas. The entire history of human achievement poured through the field directly into the Kethvar consciousness. The alien response was immediate. "Impossible. How do you transmit thought through matter?" Sarah smiled as she replied through the field. "Because we don't see matter and energy as separate things. We see them as tools, as opportunities, as parts of a greater whole. You tested our survival instincts, but survival isn't what makes humans special. What makes us special is our ability to find beauty and purpose in any situation." The resonance field continued to pulse with human creativity. Music composed in zero gravity, poetry written in the light of distant stars, engineering marvels that turned barren asteroids into thriving communities. The Kethvar experienced for the first time what it meant to be human. Dr. Webb added his voice to the transmission. "We don't just adapt to our environment, we transform it. We don't just survive challenges. We use them to become better than we were before." Amy's contribution flowed through the field. Centuries of human innovation, from the first tools to faster-than-light travel, showing how every limitation became a stepping stone to greater achievement. Jake shared the human capacity for cooperation, how individuals from different worlds and cultures could work together toward common goals, turning diversity into strength. The Kethvar fleet began to change. Ships that had been in attack formations started moving into new patterns. They were no longer positioned as predators but as observers, students trying to understand something entirely new. "We have evaluated many species," came the alien response. "None have shown this capacity. You do not merely pass the test, you transform it into something we did not anticipate." Sarah felt a surge of pride, not just for her crew, but for all of humanity. That's what we do. We take the hand we're dealt and find a way to win the game. The resonance field began to fade as the mining lasers powered down, but something had changed permanently. The Kethvar ships were no longer surrounding the human stations in threatening formations. They had repositioned themselves as protectors, guardians of something they now considered precious. "The Kethvar withdraw," came the final transmission. "Your species will not be harvested. Instead, you will be protected. The galaxy needs voices like yours." As the alien fleet began to disappear, folding space around themselves as they departed, Sarah looked around the bridge at her exhausted but triumphant crew. They had done more than survive. They had proven that humanity belonged among the stars. Amy smiled as she watched the last Kethvar ship vanish. "Captain, do you think we'll see them again?" Sarah nodded, looking out at the asteroid belt that was now somehow different, transformed by what they had accomplished together. "I'm sure we will, Amy. And when we do, it will be as equals, not as subjects in someone else's test." The mining stations throughout the belt erupted in celebration. Hundreds of voices joined together in cheers, laughter, and tears of relief. They had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through the uniquely human combination of creativity, cooperation, and determination. In the depths of space, word began to spread about, the species that had turned a test of survival into a demonstration of transformation. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy, not as conquerors or supplicants, but as something entirely new. A race that could find opportunity in any challenge, and beauty in any circumstance. The adventure was just beginning.